Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Road to Grandmasters series. This is my third tournament back in action, and I am currently in Spilimbergo, Italy. This is the fourth round of the third tournament that I'm playing. I've got 2 points out of 3 so far, with a win and 2 draws. I'm down a couple of rating points, but the tournament so far has been okay. I think my play is slowly improving, my sleep is getting better. And I met a bunch of Italian fans today because the rest of the tournament started. There was like 450 people playing, so shout out to the amazing Italian fans. Listen, I can definitely guarantee you I will be back to Italy, and we will probably do a fan event here. So nothing but love. In the fourth round of the tournament, my opponent is Livia Jaroczka. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She is, or Jaroka, from Poland. Her rating is 2200, and earlier in this event, she defeated like a 2380 rated IM, so she's quite strong and she's in good form. But before I tell you about the game, I would like to spend a couple of minutes addressing something that I'm extremely disappointed in. The live stream on YouTube today of my game. I never streamed on YouTube, really. I never did it. The main reason I didn't do it is because it's a little bit more native on Twitch. And also because I was sort of holding out hope that one day YouTube would see the potential of live streaming chess and they would offer your boy a contract like they did to many, many other streamers. That never happened. They cut back on their streaming program. And so what I decided is this tournament is going to be the first time I stream on YouTube, and I will probably stream on YouTube again in the future, like my own games, because I know we've got a lot of amazing fans here. But the live stream comments about my opponent in today's game, as well as my opponent in the second round, who was also a woman, as well as just the YouTube live stream in general, but specifically these two games, the comments were disgusting. There was a fundamental lack of respect for my opponent, for me, for the game of chess, and so on. I would like to address a couple of points. Number one, all live stream chats are bad. They're trolly, they're terrible. I understand. Like sometimes I watch, UFC style live chat. God forbid. I also understand that most of you writing comments in the videos and on the live stream are young. You're teenagers. You write idiotic stuff on the internet all the time with zero repercussion. You don't even think about it. I get it. And if some of you are adults writing it, God help you. I mean, seriously, your time is running out. One other point I want to make before I go into my spiel, we live in a time now, especially like the last few years, maybe since pandemic, and especially in the United States where I am from, we live in a time where if you stand up for something, you say we should protect these people, we need to defend these people, there's going to be people like, you're so sensitive, you're a snowflake, you're so woke. Those people are idiots. There is absolutely nothing fundamentally wrong with protecting and advocating for absolutely normal, respectful treatment of women. And you failed today. And like I said, I understand some of you guys are young. Some of you guys think it's the internet and you can do whatever you want. But number one, it's a really poor reflection on this channel. I do not subscribe to the theory that because I'm sarcastic in Guess the Elo and I make fun of low Elo chess, somehow it's I brew this community. No, I don't. I am very open and honest about this type of behavior and how I feel about it. No, I don't. You're a scumbag if you behave this way. And number two, and more importantly, behavior like this is the reason more women do not play chess. Less women play chess in childhood because of things like this. It starts at the grade level. Nonsense like, I can't lose to her, she's a girl. Into middle school and high school, and ultimately as adults, when a woman cannot go to a chess club because the ratio is 20-1, and instead of just getting to play games, men make excuses against her, they act with a level of bravado and machismo and whatever, they hit on her, etc. That's really what you are contributing to, ultimately. Stop behaving this way. If you know somebody who behaves this way, tell them to stop. And the last thing I will leave you with is, you're not smart enough to think about this, like put yourself in the woman's shoes. You're not complicated of complex thoughts like that. But what you are complicated of, what you are capable of, not complicated of, what you are capable of is, imagine somebody treated your sister this way. Or your mother, grandmother, daughter. Imagine they wrote the same comments about somebody in your life. Yeah, put that in your head. Shame on you if you behave this way, and thank you to those of you in this community who don't write anything, who just watch happily, enjoying themselves, or write positive things. Without further ado, let's get into today's recap. I jump forward a little bit. I was analyzing the game already myself. So, my opponent is an e4 player. And not only is my opponent an e4 player, my opponent is a Carl Khan player. And I was really annoyed by that. But I figured it was a good opportunity to, play a new idea. Now, keep in mind, we had about 20 hours to prepare for this game because the pairings came out the night before and we play at 4 p.m. So she played e4, I played the Carl Khan, and what I noticed is Livia is smart. She plays a lot of games online where she plays a lot of openings that she doesn't otherwise play over the board. So in her online games, she plays the Exchange Carl Khan, she plays a bunch of different things. But before this game, I absolutely expected the advanced variation. Now, we analyzed the game afterward, and she told me that my third move surprised her, and I was like, what? Wait, it did? Because, in the previous Road to GM, I played c5, and it's not like she doesn't watch my recaps. It's like, first of all, how does nobody watch the recaps? But also, it's in the database, I think. I think the move c5, because I played this against Rajmohan in the last tournament. But of course, bishop f5 is also fine. I played c5. And the only thing you need to prepare against c5 is pawn takes c5, as well as knight f3. Knight f3 is kind of like the recent cutting-edge move, and the point is to take on d4 with the queen. And there's a lot of really interesting lines here. Before the game, I actually somehow predicted she would play this. I predicted that she would play something she has never played before. And that's rare. It's kind of rare when you literally predict what your opponent is going to do. She had a couple of games where she would play it like this, which is not the best way. If you play knight f3, which is what a lot of your opponents play, that's not an insult, literally. Some of you watching this who have my Carl Khan course, it's 33% off, by the way. Know that after knight f3, pawn takes, and bishop g4, you get good positions, but white can play bishop e2, which is actually a very annoying move. And that's what I kind of expected, but she played knight f3, and here I definitely surprised her. Except I didn't. I played bishop to g4, which is not usually the move. Like 90% of games in the database here go pawn takes pawn, or at the minimum knight c6, but ASAP pinning the knight is an idea that I had. It was ready to go for a while, and I finally have an opportunity to play my prep, which is always really exciting. Now here the best move is to take. She does that. And then she played pawn c3, which is also the best move, preparing either b4 or bishop e3, bishop d4, where the bishop is glued in the center and defended by everything, and now I played e6. So the point is to attack the pawn. b4 is possible, then I would develop some pieces, but she played bishop e3, which is the best move, hanging on to the pawn. And here I played a move a6. a6 is not very popular. It hasn't been played that often, and it's a very sneaky idea. I'm preventing bishop b5 in a lot of lines, and I'm sort of waiting. I'm making a waiting move, and I'm trying to utilize this pin and take on e5. So for example, if she plays bishop e2 here, I'm going to take, and then I'm going to take on e5. And I'll probably put this knight here, and I have a bunch of pawns on light squares while trading off my light squared bishop, so I'm very happy. Okay? She went knight b2, which is the best move. And as you can tell, she spent 7 minutes. So it's always annoying when your opponent spends 7 minutes when they're clearly out of prep, and they play the best move. Because, and knight b2 is the best move because, now I can't take the knight because she would take it and protect her pawn. So I played knight a5. And there's a very funny moment here. She can play queen a4 check, and it looks like she's completely winning because she's threatening with check, and if I move the knight to protect my queen, I lose my bishop. But I have this. So she can't go here. She can do this. I would take. She would protect. Position's roughly equal. Black has to be precise, but the position is equal. She went here, and now I played my prep, which is knight c6. I was spending a little bit of time because over the board, everything looks a little bit scarier. And she played queen a4 here, which at the time I thought was a good move. When she played queen to a4, I was like, okay, yeah, that's the best move. And now I thought, I'm going to play bishop h5. But I rejected bishop h5 because I thought she could play g4. And I'm right. And her idea is she just goes knight e5. It's kind of hard to protect my knight, and if I can't protect my knight, she's going to go h4, h5. Like, I'm going to be under a significant amount of pressure here. I was like, wait a minute, this is a good move. Then I realized, no, it's not, because I can develop my knight and defend my bishop. I don't actually have to. Queen a4 was not in my notes, which made me think, again, it was not the best move. But the reason is knight f6, and she cannot put pressure on me because I take, and she loses the right to castle. So if she cannot castle, it's not going to be good for her. So then she played h3, which I thought was fine. Here, there was the possibility to bait her into playing g4, and then knight e5. And then here, for example, I can even play this move knight d7, giving up the pawn on c6. So if she takes on c6, I can play rook c8. She would take. I would play bishop c5. It's a very complicated position. She doesn't even have to do this. She doesn't even have to take on c6. She can just play like b4. And it's super complicated. But I decided, look, I'm going to take, and I'm just going to play very simply. Originally here, my idea had been to play knight d7, b4, and g6. I thought this was very interesting. So the reason I didn't go for this is I thought after the very simple and logical moves like this, I thought, why did I go backwards, help her improve her position, and I don't really understand like what my next move is. I thought she would just play like rook d1, but the position's equal. I mean, it's completely equal. Apparently I could have gone for this as well. She doesn't have to play it exactly like that, but it felt a little strange to help her play a move, but maybe it's fine. Maybe it's actually okay to play like this. I don't know, and then spend the tempo. But again, chess is about decision making, and I thought for 6 minutes and decided, I don't know why I'm backing up. Let's play bishop e7 and let's freaking castle. You know what I mean? Like there's no point to overcomplicate the situation. Like let's just play bishop e7. Let's play like this. And I figured she was going to play, rook d1 and b4, and she played rook d1. And again, here was another moment. I could have played knight d7 again, but she would play b4. And I've always got ideas like a5 here, with this. But somehow I just thought like, I don't get it. I don't like what am I doing? And here the engine finds f5, which is a nice idea. And after bishop f4, the engine then wants to proceed with g5, which is pretty crazy. Now, to be honest, I didn't play knight d7 because, I don't know, I just didn't really think it was particularly great. But here I also saw I could play bishop g5, and I wasn't sure if trading the bishops was good for me or not. Like, if she helps me bring some pieces out, okay, maybe. I also thought about playing bishop g5 in this position, and I rejected it because I thought bishop g5, queen g5, and maybe some knight c4, some crazy ideas. I didn't see queen h4, admittedly, which is the top line of the engine, but for example, here, knight e5, bishop b7, knight here, and I'm worse. Wait, what? Oh, sorry, she takes my rook. I must have calculated a slightly different line. Yes, I calculated here, etc. Like bishop c6, and then we have like, ice cream sandwich, Oreo sandwich of pawns. I mean, there was a lot of ideas, but I decided to play queen c7. I thought my time management was pretty reasonable, and here I began spending a lot of time. From this point forward, I played very slowly. So originally here, I was calculating a5. a5 is a very interesting move because I'm trying to put pressure here. I looked at queen b5. I rejected queen b5 because I thought pawn takes, d4, bishop g5, knight d5, bishop e7, knight c3, and I thought, she's doing quite well. Like, for example, here, knight b5, here, and I thought white was better. So there was a lot of, complicated ideas after a5, queen b5, but she could play queen b3 as well. And I didn't quite see what I was trying to accomplish here. So I spent a lot of time calculating a5. I couldn't come to a decision. Then I thought about playing rook a d8. Then I thought about playing rook f d8. Then I thought about playing just h6 and not letting the bishop go to the g5 square. I mean, I didn't know which plan was best. So I spent a little bit too much time, and I played rook f d8. She played a3. I can still play a5, but now I played h6, and now the bishop loses a bit of power. And I had a feeling what she was trying to do is that she was trying to play queen c2 and knight b3. That's what I thought. So I thought, she's looking at queen c2 as well as this, and maybe putting the knight on the d4 square. So she went queen c2, and here I played e5. So again, 20 minutes down, not really a fan of this. I was calculating either e5 or a5. The engine thinks that they are both completely fine, and the engine also thinks that the idea of trading the dark squared bishop is also completely fine. So all of these ideas still exist. I ultimately went for e5 because I thought after knight b3, I have a5, and I'm doing quite well. I thought I've got some ideas here, but g3 is good. a4 apparently isn't as good as I thought because she can play knight c1, and the game just goes on and we keep battling. But she went knight f1, and this move really surprised me. So she played this move really quickly, and I think somewhere here, a bit psychologically, I was like, did I miss that move? Because it happens to me. I mean, I wasn't thinking about knight f1 at all, and to me it looks very natural because she's going to go knight g3, knight f5. But I thought, okay, I'm going to play bishop f8 if that happens. So I can continue with d4, but now the bishop is going to escape. So d4 pawn takes, and something like bishop c1, or even bishop c6, maybe. Like bishop c6, I thought if I take and she plays bishop f3, I wasn't sure who has the better position. I mean, her bishop looks really good. I really thought it was a very good piece. But the computer wants to play rook d1, and just trade the pieces and do this. I wouldn't really go for this. I mean, my winning chances here are 0, and my losing chances are maybe 10%. Like, the plan is obviously just play like b6, a5, but the bishop looks really strong. So I didn't like that, which is why I went rook d7. I thought, okay, so play knight g3, play knight f5. I'm going to play rook d8. And then she played this move like so fast. I thought g3 was a bad move because I was like, why did she go knight f1 and then g3? What is she doing? And she told me, like, we analyzed the game after. She told me, well, she thought she thought it felt like I had a plan in the position, but she didn't. And she was thinking on my time, right? She was trying to play moves to keep me under pressure. She kind of could feel I was hesitant. I played rook d8. Again, I'm also trying to play fast, but I gave her already a big time advantage. And then she played bishop g2. So her idea, not just bishop g2 and getting out of the way, her idea actually, she told me after the game, was h4 and bishop h3. So the reason that g3 is a good move is that now if I play d4, she comes with a tempo, right? Like bishop f4 is a problem, right? And it's an issue, So rook d8. She could play h4 here, by the way. She could still go for this and takes a little bit of space, but she quickly played bishop g2, and again, the ball is in my court. Like, do I play d4? If I play d4, do I take with the knight? But again, why would I take with the knight? Like rook d4, something like pass. But look at the bishop. I mean, the bishop is so good. So I thought, well, I don't want to rush with d4. I need to prepare a few more moves. So here I played bishop f8. And again, I spent a little bit too much time. I mean, like 30% of my time went on bishop f8. It's not even a great move. But the point is that I wanted to play g6, bishop g7, because I thought that helped support d4. I mean, to me, it looked like a pretty logical plan. My bishop on e7 is good to fight against the queenside pawns. But overall, like, these pawns are not coming in. I mean, clearly. So g6, bishop g7, prepare for d4. By the way, at any moment, I can still probably play a5, I thought. The engine might not like it, but I didn't know why I would do this if rook b1. Like, I didn't quite understand, do I even want this to happen? Like, am I benefiting myself making this trade? So I played bishop f8, and this clearly got her a bit spooked because she saw that the reroute was coming. Speaking of which, she can also do the exact same thing, and we just have this tension on in the center of the board, and actually she still has improving moves with moves like h4. So she went here, and I thought this move was interesting. I didn't think it was good, not like in a losing way, as you can see, but I just thought it was a bit committal. It felt like a rash decision. It kind of felt like the position didn't need such a move. And to my eyes, it was because of e4, where now this bishop is completely locked out and I have a passed pawn. So the pawn is protected. So I thought, was that really smart by her? So I played e4, and she showed me the idea was bishop f2. So here, I don't know if you heard that, that was so loud. It was quite obvious to me, she was setting up shots at the center and maybe c4. So she's trying to maybe play c4, right? Destabilize my position, win my center pawn, etc. So c4 is on the way. So I considered a few moves here. Number one, I considered g6, which I thought was super cool. And the point is c4, bishop g7 with an attack on the rook if this happens. I rejected this because I thought, well, even if takes and knight takes and rook c1, No. Was it here? No, it wasn't here. Sorry. G6, C4, bishop G7, rook C1 here. Yeah, the engine here gives D4, sacrificing this pawn. And you sack the pawn and you play D3 and bishop B2 becomes an idea, yeah? Wow. And if rook B1, rook E7. When I put it on the board sitting in my hotel room, somehow it does make sense. I mean, I kind of saw G6, but I didn't see how strong the idea of sacrificing the pawn was. Not to mention there's 23 minutes remaining. So I cannot spend another 10 calculating that line. So I went with what I thought was the best move, which is D4. I mean, I just thought it's begging to be played. I also considered A5. And A5 is very well could be the best move. The point of A5 is I'm trying to make D4 even better. I said a moment ago A5 was bad. I thought I didn't know if this was a good trade. But the point is that now her position is really softened up here. The engine also wants me to play H5 sometimes, which is crazy. The move H5 literally never occurred to me because I thought C4 was just coming. But then H4. And then another move which I thought of during the postmortem was G5. And the point is I'm targeting this pawn and I'm not letting her go here. So take, but the computer thinks that this pawn is a little bit too big of a weakness in some lines. So, I mean, this was in this position, black has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. 5 options, all pawn moves. I mean, can you believe it? Like, this is what I mean. This is one of the most complicated games I've ever played. I mean, there are so many things to calculate, and there's 24 minutes on the clock. I could have been a bit better with my time, but I thought this was the best move. So she took on E4, and we went into this 4 sequence where I thought it was bad for her because I thought giving up this pawn for this pawn was not a good decision, and I'm right, but I didn't take the pawn. And so why did I not take the pawn? Of course, when I went into this, I saw H3 was hanging and I saw C3 was hanging. I didn't go into this because I saw Queen H3, Rook C3. Okay, I threatened checkmate and just a generally good move. Now she plays Queen E2 attacking my Rook. I thought maybe I could go to the corner here. But then I was like, what's my next move? What's my next move? Well, my next move is H5. It's kind of hard for her to make a move too. Now the engine gives G4 as the only move. And yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I looked at this and I just did not, I mean, I misevaluated it, to be quite honest. I just thought the position's okay, but it's nothing special. And I also thought, you know, my pawns might be weak in the long run. And then I calculated what I thought was a winning endgame. I calculated Queen D3, and suddenly I got very excited because I calculated Queen D3 takes, Rook D3, pawn is protected, and if she waits, what I'm going to do is go G6 and Bishop G7, let's say, and now I'm winning because the pawn on C3 is simply too strong. I mean, so then I calculated Queen D3 takes Bishop E1, and I have this nice idea, Knight D4 with a fork. And then if King G2, I play C2. And I'm just winning because my pawn is too strong. So when I saw Queen D3, I was like, she has to go take, Rook C2. She has to play Rook C2. Then I was like, I'm going to go G5 now with tempo. She's going to play Bishop E3. I'm going to take, Bishop G7, King F2, King E2. But I'm better because of Knight D4. And if takes, H3 hangs. When I saw this, I played Queen D3. And I thought, okay, maybe she doesn't have to enter all the things, like maybe she can play Knight E3, maybe there's a better way to defend herself, like King F1, King E1. And then I got hit with a cold shower. She found the best move, a move I didn't see. She played Queen E3, which is a good move. I am not sure if I was supposed to see this move, to be quite honest. It's a cool move. It's a blind spot for sure. I mean, basically the queen moves, but now she's threatening to take the pawn through my queen. And there's nothing I can do. And so knowing that, I would have taken on H3. But I looked at Queen H3, I looked at Queen D3, I calculated some lines. I missed Queen E3. And this is just a drawn endgame. G5 was actually a bad move. I mean, you know, and we traded the pieces. Here she offered me a draw. She could have maybe played Rook A5, and defended her pawn and tried to push for an outside pass pawn, but we made a draw. We both played at 97%. We made a draw, by the way, because you might lose this game if you're a teenager in the YouTube live stream chat, but you know, it's equal. Yeah, you know, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. A game like this, I'm not disappointed at all. I mean, it was a really interesting game where I did not have like a single chance, like a real chance. I mean, I could have kept things a little bit more complicated. I thought I played quite interesting. Like, again, there was so many different possibilities. I'm happy to have just sort of played an interesting game like this. And learned. I mean, I learned, I got to think about the structure. I got to think about the different ideas. Who knows if I'm ever going to play this again or have this position again. But, you know, it is really interesting to know, like, when to play a5, the fact that I can play h5 sometimes. It's all very interesting stuff. And I should have taken on h3. That's what I should have done to apply some more pressure. But 2.5 out of 4. I think I'm losing... Let me check, actually. I'll check how many rating points. I think I'm losing like 5 rating points max. Because of all the draws, I'm like losing 2 points in every game. 4.3. I'm losing 4 rating points. I mean, the games have been fine. You know, the last 2 games, I literally didn't have a single chance to win or even be much better. So, like I said, you know, the comments are going to be full of, you need a new coach, you need new openings, Hikaru said this person said that. And the truth is, I don't care what any of them say. I'm great. I'm having a great time. Next time I fly to a tournament, I'm going to show up a few days earlier. I couldn't this time for certain reasons I won't get into now, but I might tell a story on my second channel. What can I do? I mean, really, there's only one thing left to do, and it's to remind you once again to behave better. Have more empathy. Put yourself in other people's shoes. Treat people with the level of respect you would like to be treated with. Stop making this community look bad, because all the people who are actually great people, they just watch quietly. They're not out there gushing and saying positive things. They just happily watch. So people, the way you behave poorly reflects on this channel. And the chess community as a whole. So stop. It was a nice game. Rounds 5 and 6 are tomorrow. All the stuff. Courses are on sale, etc. Get out of here.